Thanks for joining us on this special exclusive interview with Mr. Robert Clarke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Elder Statesman. We're here to discuss this special 60 years anniversary of Nigeria, look at things in the past and how Nigeria is fed, and also look at some issues concerning the Nigerian judiciary. Thank you very much for joining us on News Central for this exclusive interview.
It's my pleasure.
You were 22 years old when the Union Jack came down at the Tafawa Balewa Square, just behind us here, in 1960. It's been 60 years post-independence. What was the feeling like, the atmosphere then, and how has Nigeria fared?
There was jubilation everywhere because the battle for independence has been going on 4 or 5 years that we were aware of, and we were hopefully looking up, and we were all happy when the Union Jack was lowered and the Nigerian flag was set up. But Nigeria since then has gone through many phases. Of course, the civilian government took over in 1960, and because of the military interregnum, we now find that the military took over in 66. But between that 1960 and 1966, the government of Tafawa Balewa had laid a plan for a 10-year development plan. Though when the military took over in 1966, there was a 10-year development plan that Gowon met, having been initiated by the Tafawa Balewa government. Unfortunately, Nigeria had money from oil in 1972, I think, and Gowon was able to implement most of those 10-year development plan. We have the Ring Road in Lagos, we have Ajaokuta Mills, we have the Elijah Mills. Many things came into fruition through Gowon. When Gowon was torpedoed and he, gave over power, Muritala took over, and Muritala created the movement to Abuja as a new
Federal capital.
So those are the developments that came in, during that time.
Many Nigerians, young Nigerians that were hopeful, a new country. Would you say those dreams have come to be when you look at Nigeria today?
It depends on which angle you are looking at it. If you are looking at it from an angle of a 22-year-old man, whom I was when the independence came, what I envisage for a better Nigeria, my hopes have been shattered. But if you are a young boy just being born into 1960 and coming up, you will have a different impression. I believe when I look at Singapore, Malaysia, and all these other countries that became independent when Nigeria became independent, and the status they now have in civilized world, it's a shame to be called a Nigerian, because these countries never had all the natural resources we have.
True.
And today they are no longer an underdeveloped country, but they are a developing country. So to that state, we have not maximized all the attributes God has given us as a nation. We have allowed internal problems to take over most of our abilities. And of course, on top of it, we have allowed corruption to dominate every sphere of our life.
Now, where would you, not so many people would have your worldview or have been fortunate to see Nigeria pre-independence to the state we are today. And, people talk of the good old days. And so looking at the timeline, 1960 to date, where did we get it wrong?
Well, to be honest with you, between 1984 and 1999, precisely during the Babangida regime, I give it to him. Whatever anybody says about him, he was able to ensure that there was a decentralized banking system in Nigeria. For once, during his military regime, he decentralized the banks and allowed banks to be owned by, any person. Today, the generation of banks that came up during his regime are today one of the topmost banks. He decentralized the television system. He decentralized the airway system so that we have private investors in Nigeria. But unfortunately, when 1999 Constitution came, Nigeria was entering into a period of so-called democracy. I do not regard 1999 till today as being that we're in a democracy. We are not. We are under a civilian rule, but not under a democracy.
Why do you say that, sir?
Democracy is the strengthening of institutions. None of the institutions in Nigeria today have been strengthened since 1999 to allow us to be able to boast that we are in a democratic country. There is no democracy in Nigeria up till today. What we have is a civilian form of government.
Now let's move to the judiciary, which is your forte. You are a senior advocate of Nigeria. The judiciary is said to be the last hope of the poor, but many Nigerians would likely not agree with that statement. The General Administration of Justice in Nigeria has faced contending issues of serious dimensions capable of eroding the trust. That has actually eroded the trust and confidence of the people in the justice system. What is your assessment of the Nigerian judiciary today as we speak? And is this still the hope for the common man?
Well, the hope for the common man is a reflection of the society as it is. And what is the reflection of the society as it is? There is an erosion of the fact that the system of the judiciary, that the judgments being delivered by the judiciary are slanted with political connotations. Let me be quite clear. Since the advent of politics in 1999, politicians have been able to erode any confidence one has in the judiciary. The politics now has been brought into the Bar Association, and I don't see how we can get over it except there's an ink-cleansing machinery within the Bar Association where we will now decide how to nominate, who can be nominated, what route we have to take to, being elected. Not just we leave it for voting. Before you can be voted for, you must have been scrutinized by a committee to know your contributions to the bar, contribution to legal learning, rather than just any Tom, Dick, and Harry coming out from any part of the country who has the backing of politicians to come and claim he wants to be the president.
Nigeria has a corruption perception problem. If you look at Transparency International figures, we're in the lower half of the indices. How big of a problem is corruption, and are we fighting it in the best way we can, or is there still more we can do?
Let me just show you an example how corruption has dealt with Nigeria. If the Attorney General, who is the supervising ministry for EFCC, can write a petition to the president on an organization under him, for a probe to be held under that organization, shows you how far corruption has gone in Nigeria. One will be wondering, but give it to the Attorney General, give it to Mr. President. They did not sweep it under the carpet. They have tried to show that, we are not going to keep this in. And they're going, but corruption is in the blood of every Nigerian. Let me just say it that way.
Just before we round up, sir, when you look at young Nigerians today, there's a lot of brain drain. Nigerians in diaspora in their millions. What do you say to young Nigerians today that have lost hope in the country?
You see, whether Nigerians have lost hope or not, the fact remains that Nigeria is a growing economy, growing population. Then we have all it takes to become a big nation. So the young ones, with the attitude of industrial or industry, they bring it here with the motive that there is population, there is market. I will advise them to come down, because IT now is the main thing, and many young boys all over the world are using the IT for many purposes. And I believe we should encourage the young ones to come back, because if there is good governance, Nigeria is going to be great. The problem is that there is no good governance. Most of our money is being stolen. by people who just put it in an account and they forget it, they die, their children don't know the money is there. Nigeria is suffering.
Thank you very much.